Unveiling the Fascinating World of John Dewey. John Dewey, born in 1859, emerged as a trailblazer in the realms of educational theory and practice. His innovative approach to learning reshaped the educational landscape, steering it away from traditional methodologies and towards a more experiential and participatory model. Dewey's contributions laid the foundation for what would become known as progressive education, a movement that continues to influence teaching methods worldwide. A seminal figure in the development of pragmatism, Dewey's philosophical perspectives infused his educational theories with a practical, experience-based approach to knowledge and learning. This pragmatic philosophy underscored the importance of integrating real-world experiences into the classroom, arguing that education should be a dynamic process that evolves with society. Dewey's revolutionary concept of learning by doing proposed that students learn best through active engagement and hands-on experiences. This approach challenged the prevailing reliance on rote memorization and passive learning, advocating instead for a curriculum that encourages critical thinking, problem-solving, and the application of knowledge in practical contexts. Throughout his prolific career, Dewey authored over 40 books addressing various aspects of education, ethics, and democracy. His writings not only contributed to the academic discourse on these subjects, but also offered practical insights and guidance for educators seeking to implement progressive educational practices in their classrooms. One of Dewey's most influential works, Democracy and Education, published in 1916, remains a cornerstone in the field of education. In this seminal text, Dewey articulates his vision of schools as microcosms of democratic society, where education plays a crucial role in preparing students to participate fully and effectively in civic life. His ideas in this book have left an enduring legacy on educational theory and practice, emphasizing the interconnectedness of education and democracy. John Dewey's seminal work, Democracy and Education, published in 1916, has left a lasting mark on educational philosophy. In it, Dewey articulates the critical relationship between education and democratic society, arguing that education serves as the foundational bedrock for a thriving democracy. His insights into how education shapes citizenry and public life continue to influence educational thought and policy. A central tenet of Dewey's philosophy is the importance of critical thinking in education. He believed that for students to effectively engage in a democratic society, they must be taught to think critically. This emphasis on reflective thought over rote memorization challenged the educational norms of his time, advocating for a more engaged and thoughtful student body. Dewey also founded the New School for Social Research in New York City, a hub for progressive thought and education. This institution became a testament to his beliefs in practical learning and the importance of educational reform. It stood as a physical embodiment of his educational philosophies, promoting a learning environment that valued creativity, critical thinking, and social responsibility. His innovative ideas led to the establishment of the Progressive Education Association, which sought to disseminate and implement his educational reforms. This association championed Dewey's vision of an education system that was more responsive to the needs of society and the individual learner. It played a pivotal role in transforming educational practices across the United States. Dewey's challenge to traditional rote learning methods was revolutionary. He advocated for an educational approach that was dynamic, interactive, and tailored to the individual. By focusing on the learner's experience, Dewey's approach sought to make education more meaningful and effective. His critique of conventional educational methods paved the way for future reforms, emphasizing the importance of adaptability and relevance in the curriculum. John Dewey championed the integration of children with disabilities into regular classrooms, a radical idea at the time. He believed that all children, regardless of their physical or cognitive abilities, deserved equal access to quality education. This inclusive approach was groundbreaking and paved the way for modern special education practices. His involvement in the founding of the NAACP underscored Dewey's commitment to equality and justice, extending beyond the classroom. By advocating for the rights of African Americans, Dewey's work in education was part of a broader vision for a more equitable society. His efforts highlighted the interconnectedness of education and civil rights. Dewey's educational theories led to the development of experiential education, emphasizing the importance of learning through doing. This hands-on approach was a departure from the passive learning methods of the time and has since influenced educational systems worldwide. It encouraged students to engage actively with their learning material, making education more relevant and effective. He argued that democracy must not only be taught but lived within educational settings. Dewey believed that for democracy to be truly understood and appreciated, students needed to experience democratic principles in action. This philosophy inspired educators to create classroom environments where students could practice decision-making, problem-solving, and active participation. Dewey was convinced that education should be tailored to the individual student, recognizing that each child has unique needs and interests. This personalized approach to learning challenged the one-size-fits-all methodology and laid the groundwork for modern educational strategies that seek to address the diverse learning styles of students. John Dewey's influence on the development of constructivist theory in education is profound. He posited that knowledge is not passively received but actively built by the learner's own experiences. This approach highlights the importance of engaging students in hands-on learning experiences, fostering a deeper understanding through active participation and discovery. Dewey's establishment of the laboratory school at the University of Chicago served as a practical application of his educational theories. Here, he experimented with his ideas, emphasizing learning by doing. This innovative school became a model for progressive education, demonstrating how educational environments can encourage critical thinking and problem-solving skills. His introduction of the reflective thinking process marked a significant contribution to educational psychology. Dewey outlined a method where students reflect on their experiences to form conclusions, thereby cultivating a habit of critical analysis and continuous learning. This approach underlines the importance of thoughtfulness and introspection in education. Dewey also stressed the social aspects of education, arguing that learning is inherently a communal activity. He believed that schools should act as mini societies, preparing students for democratic participation in the wider world. This perspective encourages educators to design learning experiences that foster collaboration and social responsibility. Moreover, Dewey advocated for education that directly addresses real-world problems. He saw the classroom as a place where students could engage with current issues, applying their learning to solve practical challenges. This approach not only makes learning more relevant but also instills a sense of civic duty and problem-solving skills among students. John Dewey, while celebrated for his innovative approaches to education, faced criticism for his perceived underemphasis on content knowledge. Critics argued that his focus on experiential learning and critical thinking could potentially neglect the foundational knowledge essential in traditional disciplines. This critique highlights a debate in educational philosophy about the balance between skill development and content mastery. Dewey's contributions extended beyond education into the realm of aesthetics, with his book Art as Experience marking a significant foray. In this work, he explored the relationship between the viewer and art, proposing that experiencing art involves an active, interpretative process that mirrors the pragmatic approach he applied in education. This perspective offered a fresh lens on the appreciation and understanding of art. His influence also reached adult education and lifelong learning, areas that have grown considerably in importance. Dewey championed the idea that education is a continuous process and that learning extends beyond formal schooling. His advocacy for lifelong learning emphasizes the ongoing nature of education, adapting to the evolving needs of society and the individual. Dewey argued passionately for both educational and societal reform. He believed that the two were deeply interconnected, with education serving as a critical tool for achieving a more equitable and democratic society. By promoting an education system that is responsive to real-world problems, Dewey envisioned a society where individuals are better equipped to participate in democratic life. At the heart of Dewey's pragmatic philosophy was the significance of experience in learning. He posited that knowledge is not merely transmitted from teacher to student but constructed through interaction with the environment. This emphasis on experiential learning has profoundly influenced educational practices, encouraging a more engaging and practical approach to teaching and learning. John Dewey's profound influence on education is evident in the proliferation of progressive schools around the globe. His advocacy for an education system that prioritizes experience over rote memorization has inspired educators to rethink traditional teaching methods. Progressive schools, rooted in Dewey's philosophies, focus on developing critical thinking and problem-solving skills in students, fostering a love for lifelong learning. Dewey envisioned schools as communities, where education is not just about the transfer of knowledge, but about building relationships and understanding societal roles. This idea transformed the educational landscape, encouraging schools to be more inclusive and supportive environments. Such communities promote collaboration among students, teachers, and parents, ensuring a holistic approach to education. His educational philosophy also led to the founding of Bennington College, a testament to his lasting impact on the structure of educational institutions. Bennington College, designed to embody Dewey's ideals, emphasizes learning by doing and encourages students to take responsibility for their education. This approach has inspired numerous other institutions to adopt similar educational models. Dewey was a pioneer in the cognitive revolution, challenging the traditional focus on memorization and advocating for an education that develops the mind's capacity to think critically and creatively. His work laid the groundwork for educational practices that emphasize understanding over memorization, preparing students to navigate an ever-changing world. His belief that educators should serve as guides rather than authoritative figures revolutionized the teacher-student dynamic. Dewey argued for a more interactive and engaging learning process, where teachers facilitate rather than dictate, empowering students to explore their interests and learn through experience. This approach has encouraged a more personalized and effective education system. John Dewey was a pioneer in challenging the traditional ethics and moral education of his time. He believed that moral education should not be about instilling a set of predefined values, but rather about fostering critical thinking and ethical reasoning. Dewey argued for an approach that encouraged students to question and reflect upon moral dilemmas, enabling them to develop their own set of values through experience. His influence extended beyond the classroom into the field of public administration and policy. Dewey advocated for policies that were informed by the needs and experiences of the community. He believed that effective public policy should be grounded in pragmatism and the lived experiences of individuals, rather than in rigid ideologies. This approach encouraged a more responsive and adaptive form of governance. Dewey was also a strong proponent of making the curriculum relevant to students' lives. He argued that education should be connected to real-world experiences, making learning more meaningful and engaging for students. By integrating practical life skills and societal issues into the curriculum, Dewey believed education could better prepare students for the challenges of the modern world. His theories laid the groundwork for the project-based learning approach, which emphasizes learning through doing. Dewey's concept of learning by doing encouraged educators to design curricula that involve students in hands-on projects, fostering problem-solving skills and critical thinking. This approach has become a cornerstone of progressive education, emphasizing the importance of experiential learning. Dewey's legacy also influenced the direction of modern librarianship, promoting the idea that libraries should serve as community centers that support lifelong learning. He believed that libraries could play a key role in encouraging public engagement, democracy, and education. Dewey's vision of libraries as inclusive spaces for community learning and engagement continues to inspire librarianship today. John Dewey's views on democracy were groundbreaking, emphasizing the need for active participation and communication within a society. He believed that for democracy to thrive, it required more than just voting. It demanded that citizens engage deeply with societal issues, fostering a community where dialogue and action intersect to create meaningful change. Dewey played an instrumental role in the evolution of American liberalism, steering it towards a focus on experiential learning and problem solving. His philosophy advocated for an inclusive society where education and progressive thought paved the way for social reform. His influence reshaped liberalism, embedding educational reform and participatory democracy at its core. His educational philosophies have been a beacon for reform movements across the globe. Dewey argued for an education system that mirrors the complexities of life, preparing individuals not just academically, but as active, thoughtful participants in a democratic society. This vision has inspired countless educators to rethink how and what we teach. Dewey was a strong critic of the dichotomy between theory and practice, especially in the context of education. He argued that learning is not just about absorbing facts, but about integrating thinking and doing. This approach has challenged traditional educational models, advocating for a more holistic, integrated learning experience. John Dewey remains a towering figure in discussions about education and democracy. His ideas, though developed over a century ago, continue to inspire debates and reforms in educational systems worldwide. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of his vision for a more democratic, engaged, and enlightened society.